Okay, so now that we've discussed a few different methods for calculating menu pricing or determining menu pricing, let's work through a few examples. So this first one, you're constructing a menu and decide to use a 65% markup rate. If you determine that the raw food cost for the ceviche appetizer is $8.71, what would you choose as the menu price? Well, we talked about three different methods in the previous video for finding menu price. Which one do we use? Well, we're looking for key terms in the problem. In this problem, you see I meant to use a highlighter there. In this problem, you see the words markup rate, so we're going to use the markup rate method. All right, so what that means is we're taking the cost and then we're adding a little bit more on top of that. So the markup amount, that's a dollar amount. Okay, so step one, what is the markup amount? And then step two, add that to the cost. Okay, so in step one, we take the raw food cost, which is $8.71, and we multiply it by the markup rate. So that's given in the problem, that's 65%, but we got to be careful here. 65%, that's a number, right? Sorry, that's a percentage, not a number. So we have to convert that to a decimal, 0.65. And that's what we're going to use in the calculation. Multiply by 0.65. And if you plug that into a calculator, you'll get about 5 points. Now I'm going to use a few extra decimal places. I only want to round to the nearest penny in my final answer. So your calculator will give you something like 5.6615. I'm doing this on a calculator off to the side. Okay, so that's step one. And then step two, we take the raw cost, which is $8.71, and we're going to add the $5, and then we can round that to 66 at this point. This is going to give us our final answer. So we come up with $14.37. Now, generally, you're not going to see a price like that on the menu. So this is what we calculate as being the menu price. But what you'll see on the menu is somewhere between, not 13. Somewhere between $14 and $15. You might round it down to 14 even, round it up to 15 even, price it at $14.99 or $14.95 or some more commonly seen price. Okay, number two, you decide on a 5/2 markup rate on your beef brajol based on the raw food cost of $7.80. What would you choose as the menu price? Again, same question. What's the menu price? What am I selling it for? So, same as with the last problem, you're looking for keywords, and this is again the markup rate method. Okay, so you see the words in the problem. You see the words markup rate, so you're using again the markup rate method. So very similar to the last problem. We're taking step one, the raw food cost. So that's the $7.80 given in the problem, multiplied by the markup rate. Well, now it's given as a fraction, not a percentage. So we're going to multiply that by 5/2. And that will give us, according to the calculator, $19.50. Right? So that's the amount added to the cost. So step two, you take the raw food cost and add the markup rate. Right? So we're always doing that. If we're using this method and we add those two together, we get $27.30. So that's our calculated menu price. So the actual menu price somewhere between $27 and $28. And that at this point depends on just personal preference. Do you want the prices to end with like 0.99 or 0.95 or 0.49? Do you want whole numbers? But somewhere between $27 and $28. All right, looking good. Next one. If the raw food cost for your house-made shrimp and mascarpone raviolis is $6.54 and you would like the food cost percentage to be 28%, what would you choose as the menu price? Well, same problem as the first two. What is the menu price? But we're using a different method here. We're going to use the cost percentage method, right? Because you look at reading the problem, you don't see the word markup. You see keyword here, food cost percentage. Okay, so we take the raw food cost, let me switch back to blue. You take the raw food cost, which is $6.54, and you divide by the food cost percentage. Food cost percentage is 28%. So again, we'll always change percentages to a decimal, divide by 0.28, and that will give us a menu price if we round to the nearest penny. According to the calculator, $23.36. That's what we want. So on our menu, in reality, we'll price it somewhere between $23 and $24, maybe $23.99 or 23 even, 24 even, something like that. All right, so we have three methods. We're looking for keywords in the problem that tell us which of the three methods to use. All right, number 4. You decide to use a cost multiplier of 4.25 when pricing the appetizers on your menu. That means everything on the menu in the appetizers section. You take the cost and you multiply it by the same number, 4.25. If the raw food cost for the crab cake appetizer is $4.15, what would you choose as the menu price? Right? Again, keywords. Cost multiplier. Right? So that's the method we're using. We take the raw food cost, which is the $4.15. We multiply it by the cost multiplier. All right, so that's saying for the appetizers, we want to charge 4.25 times more than it cost me to make. Okay? So we'll take 4.15 multiply by 4.25, and we round that to the nearest penny. We will get $17.64. Now, of course, you should be pausing the video, doing these calculations on your own, making sure you're getting the same answers and rounding the same way as me. So for a menu price of $17.64, yeah, we'll price it somewhere between $17 and $18. All right, looking good. The next problem, now this one's a slightly different one. What is the food cost percentage? So the first 4 problems, each of the first 4, same question. What is the menu price? In this problem, You're given the menu price. You're looking for the food cost percentage, right? So we've got our definition of food cost percentage. Food cost percentage is equal to raw food cost divided by selling price. Okay? So we've got the raw food cost is the $13.12. We've got the selling price, which is the $18.95. Right, so food cost percentage should equal the raw food cost, which is $3.12 divided by the selling price, which is $18.95. So we put that into a calculator. That will give us a decimal 0 point something. And then the times 100 is converting it from a decimal to a percentage. Now, my calculator is giving me, let's see, 0.164637995, so on. We'll take that, multiply it by 100. And I'll round it to the one decimal place, let's say. And that's a total of 16.5%. So that means if we're selling the chicken and waffle brunch special for $18.95, so we're collecting $18.95, 16.5% of that covers the costs. The rest covers labor and other things, and then hopefully some of that goes to profit. All right, so that's a pretty good mix of problems. Again, we're looking for keywords, you're looking for cost multiplier, food cost percentage, markup rate, and that's sort of indicating which method you should be using. All right, that sums it up for